Auditor General has flagged 10 million without supporting documentation. Mr. Speaker, let's call it what it is, theft. If the records cannot be found when the Auditor General is on the ground, 6 months later, Mr. Speaker, this House has been sanitizing theft and crooked behavior in counties. And we have brought a report to the House saying that this is unacceptable and action must be taken. There is also loss of money through unbudgeted expenditure. Mr. Speaker, budgets are sacred documents because it is a commitment between the governors and I think that Kenyans have been tolerant for too long, and we now need to send out very strong messages and strong recommendations on this. Another wasteful means of spending public funds, Mr. Speaker, is what the accountants call nugatory expenditure. As I said earlier, nugatory expenditure, penalties, interests, and fines. Mr. Speaker, penalties, interests, and fines. Mr. Speaker, Kisii County spent 1.7 billion on penalties and fines that could have been avoided. And those are penalties and fines to CPF, Lab Trust, and Lab Fund. Kiambu spent 414 million on penalties and interest. Mr. Speaker, I wish the House could direct that where a county government incurs that are avoidable, then the accounting officers should be surcharged personally. Because some people just sit on invoices, they sit on court orders, they sit on statutory contributions and wait for the interest to pile. Mr. Speaker, 1.7 billion in Kisii could do soap the pockets of these fund managers because of interest. Finally, Mr. Speaker, and these are what I call outright illegalities, unaccounted expenditure. The analysis of the Parliamentary Budget Office is that unaccounted expenditure in that year was 157 million, but there is nothing to show for it. Tharaka Nithi, 76 million, was charged on the retention account, but there was no evidence that it was used to settle retention and deposits as required by law. Tana River, 37 million, was used on fuels, motor vehicles, but there was no evidence of the vehicles having been bought. Wajir, 18 million to buy laptops and printers, but there was nothing to show. Isiolo, 17 million to buy equipment for an emergency unit, but there was nothing to show. Mr. Speaker, this we must call it what it is. It is theft. It is across the board, honorable senators. And I want you to look at those reports and you will be able to see what is going on. Mr. Speaker, the other fiduciary risk,
Order, senators. Order.
I don't know why they are jittery when I talk about the misdeeds of their governors. I am going to spill more.
Senator,
Mr. Speaker.
Chair, I think it's because you said finally, so you know they want to hear more, especially on their counties.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the other problem, the other fiduciary risk